So it states that illegal, most important document, so that it is the most important document to property buyers and landowners, right? So we also have what we call um, governor's consent. Now, something that something like C of O cannot be given to two person, right? It can only be given to a person. So a C of O can only be given to a person on a particular land, right? So let's say someone that has a C of O on a particular land wants to transfer his right to a new owner. What's going to be obtained in this aspect is called governor's consent, right? So it's going to be called what governor's consent. So that means the governor has consented the transfer from from owner A to the new owner B, right? So it actually says consent obtained from the governor of a state on land transaction without which will be deemed illegal in the eyes of the governor and the law, right? So that means if the consent has been obtained, the transfer is not or deemed illegal. But if it hasn't been obtained, the transfer is illegal and not recognized by law, right? So the most common form of title is that can be obtained in Lagos in respect of property. So it can only be processed on a land with either gazette or an existing C of O. So we'll see what this gazette really means now. Now there's a title called excision. So it simply means it is free from government acquisition. That is, it, it is not with government anymore. Yeah, so and this is actually done for lands that have historical backings, right? Probably a family has a tradition, historical backing that they own this particular land. They are the settlers on this land now. So what they do is that they go to the government to apply for excision. Probably if they are actually um, claiming to own maybe 200,000 square meters of land. So instead of government to give them the entire 200,000 square meter, the government can give them probably 120 square meter and leave the other 80, 1,000 square meter to herself, right? So the point that has been given out to the owners of the family is now referred to as excision. So like an excise portion, like it has been excised, it has been, cut, excised, and given out to the rightful owners, right? So it's called excision. The title that they're going to be having on that land is called excision, but one can also process a C of O on it, right? So, so like I said, gazette is actually means public. It means published excision, right? So when we say gazette, gazette is actually an official record book where all special government details are spelled out, detailed and recorded, right? So published excision. So it has been published into the government records that this particular square meter of land now belongs to family of Ajangbadi or Ajanlikoko. You understand? So it has been recorded. So in that case, it is called a gazette, right? It's called a gazette, right? So you can also get a C of O title on it. So you can also process a C of O title on it. Freehold land. So when you hear a freehold land, that means the land um, is it has no what they call it affiliations to the government, right? It is freehold. Anybody can hold it so far that it is duly transferred from the real owners of the land, that is the real settlers of the land. So they are not owned, like there's no affiliation with the government, but the transfer has to also be registered with the government also too, because it said that all lands belongs to the government, right? So the last one is the deed of assignment. So this one is actually you know a document showing that a transfer has occurred, right, between party A and party B. And this is actually a document that is very important in processing COO, processing governor's content also, right? So there's also what called ratification is When government allows, okay, allocating government land to someone who has already occupied landed without lawful. So now this is actually lands that are owned by government before, right? You know, so probably it has been, earmarked um for government, what they call it, government use before, right? So you can what, apply for ratification or regularization, right? So that the government can actually what, release the land for public use, right? So it's a process whereby, you know um, you can apply for release of a land, for public use, for personal use. Probably you want to develop a residential building there, and it's also when maybe someone has already occupied a place illegally, you know, instead of the government telling you to forfeit the land 100%, they have to come and ratify this property, come and pay for it to the government. So you have to repay that value that you have paid to maybe a body like the family or somewhere else. You have to pay back to the government because the family is not the owner, or the seller is not the owner. That means you have to also actually do your due diligence before you actually put your money into any real estate, so that you do not have to pass through the stage of repaying that land, repaying that price to the government, which is the original owner and the original authorized and verified owner of the land, right? So we also have the survey. Survey is a plan document that shows the boundary of the land. You know, so for example, let's say the land goes from point A to point B. The survey is a document showing the diagrammatic, the diagram, on paper, of where your land starts and where your land stops, right? So survey is very good to have because it avoids encroachments, future encroachment. So that someone will not come in the future to claim a particular portion of your land. So then we also have what we call the global acquisition and computer acquisition. So for global acquisition, this means now the government, you know, owns the land, but I've not yet marked it yet. So there's no specific purpose, for the land yet. So that means that land is what, globally acquired. But if it has been, earmarked for, roads, government schemes, and some other government projects, it is committed acquisition. So it is possible for you to, release lands from the globally acquired land, but it's impossible for you to what, to release land from government acquisition land, because most times governments will not even release because um, the land has passed through town planning, you know, and whatsoever thing they want to pass through there is already at the urban and planning agency. Yes. So government can now say that because of you want to do something, they now want to alter the town planning of the state, right? So it is very, very dangerous for you to buy land in the you know, committed acquired areas. So like I said, for the corporate uh, due diligence, these are a few bodies that are, that regulate real estate practice in Nigeria. We have LASRERA, which is the Lagos Real Estate um, Regulatory Authority. We have REDAN, which is the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigerians. Then we also have the CAC. CAC is uh, body that actually regulates, all businesses, all sectors, right? So for you to run as a business in Nigeria, you have to be duly registered with CAC. So that's actually a general requirement, right? Then this is for people that actually run cooperatives, savings and cooperative investments. So they must be duly registered with what, Lagos State Ministry of Commerce, Industry, and Cooperatives. So now these are some documents that you have to get after buying a property. The survey has been explained, the deed has been explained. For the receipt is simple. It's simple. For anything you have to that you buy, you have to get a receipt. Uh, Contract of sales is actually showing the terms of an agreement of sales between both the buyers and the seller. So it also has to be what's given out to you. So this is actually when you're doing investment, not just buying property, right? So let's say you are investing in a company that is doing real estate, right? And you want to just invest to get returns from them. You're not directly involved in purchase of a property. So you have to get certificate of investment in that scenario. Insurance is actually not it's actually very very important to get insurance from the company, but you also need to insure it yourself too. Whatever thing you are for whatever investment you are going through, taking, you have to insure your investments also too. Then protected check is not given by every outfit, but these are things that that you still need to that will help you with gain security on your investment. Now, the Land Use Act law of 1978 2022 states that it shall not be lawful for the holder of a statutory right of occupancy granted by the governor to alienate his rights of occupancy or any part thereof by assignment, sublease, etc. without the prior consent of the governor. So this simply means that you cannot transfer without the consent of the governor, right? So even before you transfer, that means you have to perfect your title document, right? you know. So if you buy a property from someone else after doing all those things I mentioned here, the due diligence and the purchase and getting all the purchase documents, you also need to perfect the title because the government needs to be aware of the transaction. If they are not aware, it is not yet complete and it is illegal, right? So that's where the perfection of title comes in. So it simply means completion of the acquisition of interest, transfer of title of land, you know. So it's completion of the acquisition of interest, transfer of title. So these are the steps that are involved in perfecting your title. The first one is for you to obtain the governor's consent. So no matter what title you have already, whether it's excision, whether it's just mere deed of assignment, whether it's just gazette, all those things. No matter what title the property you have, you need to obtain governor's consent or approval. Then you need to stamp a document and pay for stamp duties. Then also you have to register conveyance or assignment at the property. So once you have done these three steps, you have perfected your title. Then you also have so these are like post purchase activities you need to do. You have to perfect your title. Then you need to also get property insurance, right? So it's actually a series of policies that provides uh, the property protection or liability coverage for property owners. So what does it cover? We have building collapse, natural disaster, vandalism and theft, liability coverages, right? Now, the cost of coverage depends on the value of the house, the location of the house, and the likelihood for it to be, for it to um, be affected by risks, right? So this simply means, if you have a house near a place that probably near a waterfront, the cost of insuring that property will be different from you just having a property in a where a dry land that is not waterfront because the waterfront area has tendency to get flooded than this not being in waterfront. So that's just the definition, like the explanation of this. So after you perfect your title, you need to get property insurance, right? So these are the things that you just need to do post purchase. So you also need to also know about the taxation of property, which is very very important, right? So what are the tax that are involved? So this is the tax that are involved. So it's actually levied annually by the state government. Like I said, state government is actually each state governments are in charge of their uh, all the lands located in their state, right? So what we have the neighborhood improvement charge, tenement rates, and ground rates. Now all these tax have now been put together into what we call land use charge in Lagos, right? And these are the rate of taxation, right? Depending on the use of property in Lagos, So we have for commercial properties, we have 0.35%. For industrial, we have, so different rates for different use. Then we also have other taxes like the VAT, the capital gain tax, the withholding tax. So these are tax on normal business transactions. So and it also applies to so for this one actually is for development charges. This one is actually um affiliated to the buildings agency of the government building agency, because before you before you build, you need to get approval from them. So part of the things you need to also remit, to get approval, right? So now these are companies that that you can invest with depending on what they offer. So I've been able to grade them into different grades, like depending on what they build and the amount of what they build, right? So you can see and the locations where they are. So you can see that these are expensive, very very capital intensive companies. They build capital intensive projects, right? They don't just build projects that are not not capital rich, right? So you can see them, so you can check them at your own leisure. So you have grade B. So this ones are located in Lekki, Kate, Osakwa. So you can see the average property. So you can see what they build, and also so you have the grade C. You can see what they build. You can see the price per property. Then we also have a grade C, right? So depending on your preferred location and your budget, these are people that you can patronize in the industry, right? But you also need the what you need the services of a professional real estate consultant to also lead you through, right? So now, um, start small, grow big, right? So this simply means now start from where you are. So there are some flexible, for some options for easy entry, right? Easy entry in terms of what capital wise, So if you don't have enough capital to take on intensive projects or invest in massive projects, there are still some ways that you can still start small and then you can now grow big. So the first one is access flexible payment plans. You can access payment plans that are up to 12 months. So if you don't have the money to purchase an asset, an asset outrightly, right? You can access installment option whereby you can spread properties, up to 12 months. There are some companies that even give you up to 24 months, right? So access those kind of options. Now the other ones like project partnership platforms, right? So this one is not just um, it does not involve you buying the assets, completely. It just involves you partnering with companies that are building these assets and getting returns on them um, within a particular period of time, right? And then the last one is co-ownership, like I said. So co-ownership can be done crude in a crude way, or can be done in a technology-backed environment, right? So, like I said, we have companies that are doing, if you could remember in the first section, I discussed about me being engaged in building an app that allows people to save towards ownership of property, right? So there are some there are also some apps that allows you to co-own properties and you what earn returns on your money for some period of time, right? So you can use those platforms to access what they call it low capital opportunities in the real estate sector, right? So those companies do not really require you to put in millions of naira into them. You, you can fund project from as low as 500,000 naira, you know, and going up as much as you can afford, right? So it just simply means crowdfunding, So you are coming together with several strangers on a platform with the same aim. You have the same aim of getting profit on your money. So you are coming together to also crowdfund a project and to getting return on your money after the period agreed upon initially, right? So these are ways you can access um, real estate in a very minimal way, right? So and these are companies that you can look out for Realsify, right? So these ones are companies that gives you access to fund projects with minimum capital, right? And also this is my company Zelos. So this one of our products, cashback, allows you to earn 32% in 12 months, and you can invest as low as 500,000 naira and as high as 100 million and even more than that, right? So you can check this. This is just like an FAQ to for you to know more about the investment. So you can check this at your leisure. What documents you'll be getting is what documents you get after investing with us. To secure your money with us. So lastly, I'm talking about compound interest. So it is the interest on savings calculated on both the principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods, right? And that is the formula P. Uh, you know, P stands for principal, I stands for the nominal annual interest rate in percentage term. That means the annual interest rates. Then N starts from the number of compounding periods, right? So let's take an example. It says that a deposit investment of 1 million naira at an interest rate of 32%, which is what we are offering as a loss, that compounds annually. What will be the amount of interest in the in this case? You know, like for the period of 3 years, what will be the amount of interest? So I think the what they call it was not written here. The duration, but the duration in the example is supposed to be 3 years, right? So using the formula, P bracket 1 plus interest raised to power um, number of time. Sorry, period of investment minus one, right? So once you use this formula, it gives you 1,299,968 naira. So this is the accumulated interest for the period of 3 years. Once you invest 1 million naira to at the rate of 32%. So you can see the what they call it, the power of compound interest. So that means both your ROI and your principal is being reinvested yearly over the period of 3 years. So that means you're not taking any money out of the system, right? So, and this is mainly done for probably income that you do not need to use, like you don't have use for, at the immediate, right? So probably you have a money line fallow that you do not need the use for it in next 3 years or in next 4 years. So instead of you just putting line fallow in your bank, and banks are using it for you know for investments, they are using it to enrich themselves. You can also use it to enrich yourself. So that's basically it. We've come to the end of the course. It has been a very very like long ride, and I hope that you get like you gain value. I'll be on the lookout for your feedback because it's very very important to me. It's also helped me improve myself, on how I deliver my teachings, right? So I'll be expecting your feedbacks, and thank you very much for staying with me. God bless.